What if I told you that a penny you might have ignored your entire life could still carry a hidden story, and in some cases, a surprising value? The 1940 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny looks ordinary at first glance, but behind its quiet copper surface is a chapter of American history that collectors still chase today. This coin is known as the 1940 Lincoln cent with no mint mark, which means it was made in Philadelphia. At the time, pennies struck at the main mint did not carry any letter under the date. Millions were produced, passed from hand to hand, and spent without a second thought. Yet more than 80 years later, this humble coin has become a favorite among collectors who love history, detail, and the thrill of finding something special in plain sight. The Lincoln penny itself was already a familiar sight by 1940. First introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th birthday of Abraham Lincoln, it was the first regular U.S. coin to feature a real person. By the time 1940 arrived, Americans trusted this coin. It jingled in pockets during grocery runs, trolley rides, and newspaper purchases, quietly witnessing everyday life just before the world changed forever. The year 1940 sits at a fascinating moment in American history. The United States had not yet entered World War II, but the tension was building across the globe. Europe was already at war, and Americans followed the news closely through radios and newspapers. The economy was recovering from the Great Depression, and people were cautiously optimistic. Pennies like this one were part of daily trade, helping families stretch their budgets during uncertain times. The 1940 Lincoln penny was struck by the United States Mint at its Philadelphia facility, known today as the Philadelphia Mint. Because it was made there, the coin carries no mint mark. This detail often confuses beginners, but for collectors, it is one of the first clues in identifying the coin correctly in terms of design. The 1940 penny follows the classic Lincoln cent look that ran from 1909 to 1958. On the front, you see Lincoln facing right with the words "In God We Trust" above his head, "Liberty" to the left, and the date to the right. The portrait was designed by Victor David Brenner, and his work is admired for its simplicity and dignity. Even today, many collectors feel this is one of the most timeless designs in American coinage. Flip the coin over, and you find two wheat stalks framing the words 1 cent and United States of America, with E pluribus unum across the top. This reverse design is why collectors often call it a wheat penny. The wheat ears symbolize growth and prosperity, a hopeful message that meant a lot to Americans living through recovery and global uncertainty. The metal composition of the 1940 Lincoln penny is another reason it stands out. It is made of bronze, about 95% copper, with the remaining 5% made up of tin and zinc. This rich copper content gives the coin its warm reddish color when new. Unlike the steel pennies of 1943, which were a wartime experiment, the 1940 penny represents the end of an era before metal shortages changed U.S. coinage. So why would a coin made in such large numbers matter to collectors today? The answer lies in condition, rarity within quality levels, and small variations that excite the collecting community. While hundreds of millions were struck, most were heavily circulated. Pennies were used constantly, and very few survived in pristine condition. Finding a 1940 no-mint mark penny with sharp details, original color, and minimal wear is far more difficult than finding a worn example. Collectors also search for errors and unusual strikes. Some 1940 pennies show off-center strikes, where the design is not perfectly centered. Others may have broad strikes, where the coin spreads wider than normal because the collar failed during striking. There are also minor double die varieties, where parts of the lettering appear slightly doubled due to a misaligned die. These errors are not common, and when authenticated, they can greatly increase a coin's value in everyday circulated condition. A typical 1940 no-mint mark penny is usually worth only a few cents above face value. However, value changes quickly as condition improves. A well-preserved example with clear wheat lines and strong details can be worth several dollars. Coins with full original red color, known as red cents by collectors, are especially desirable and can command much higher prices at auctions and among private collectors. Top-quality examples have sold for impressive amounts. High-grade coins certified by professional grading services have reached into the hundreds of dollars, especially those with blazing red surfaces and no major flaws. Error coins from 1940, depending on the type and severity of the mistake, have sold for even more. These results remind collectors that even common-date coins can become valuable under the right circumstances. Identifying a genuine 1940 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny is simple once you know what to look for. First, check the date. It should clearly read 1940, with no letter below it. If you see a D or an S, that means it was made in Denver or San Francisco, not Philadelphia. Next, examine the color and weight. A real 1940 penny should weigh about 3.11 grams and have a copper tone. Not a silvery steel look. Be cautious of altered coins. Some people attempt to change dates or remove mint marks to create fakes. Look closely at the numbers in the date for signs of tampering, such as uneven surfaces or tool marks. Genuine coins have smooth, natural wear patterns. When in doubt, experienced collectors recommend professional authentication, especially for coins that appear unusually valuable. There are also a few fun details that make the 1940 penny even more interesting. Because it was made just before America entered World War II, some collectors like to imagine where these coins traveled. One might have been in the pocket of a factory worker, another in a soldier's keepsake box, and another tucked into a child's piggy bank. Each coin has a silent story shaped by the hands it passed through. Another surprising fact is how many people unknowingly own one. The 1940 Lincoln penny is still commonly found in old collections, inherited jars, and forgotten rolls. Many collectors remember the excitement of spotting that familiar date and wheat design for the first time, realizing they were holding a piece of pre-war America. Collectors love this coin today because it sits at the crossroads of history, affordability, and nostalgia. It is old enough to feel historic, yet common enough that beginners can realistically find one. For advanced collectors, the challenge shifts to finding the best condition examples or rare errors. For casual enthusiasts, it offers a tangible connection to the past without a huge price tag. The 1940 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny proves that you do not need gold or silver to find meaning in coin collecting. Sometimes, all it takes is a single cent to spark curiosity, start a collection, or inspire a deeper appreciation for history. This small copper coin has survived economic recovery, global war, and generations of change, yet it still finds its way into modern collections. So the next time you see an old penny, take a closer look. That quiet 1940 Lincoln cent might not just be spare change. It could be a survivor from a world on the brink of transformation, waiting for someone curious enough to notice its story and wonder what other secrets might still be hiding in plain sight. Imagine finding a single penny in an old jar that quietly witnessed America standing on the edge of world-changing events. A penny struck before the sound of wartime factories filled the air, before ration books and victory gardens became everyday life. That penny could be the 1941 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny, a small copper coin with a story far bigger than its size. This coin is known as the 1941 Lincoln wheat penny with no mint mark, which means it was struck in Philadelphia. At first glance, it looks simple and familiar, but behind that calm appearance is a fascinating mix of history, craftsmanship, and collector passion that continues to grow today. In 1941, the United States was at a turning point. The country had not yet entered World War II, but the tension was already building. Industries were preparing, factories were shifting, and the economy was waking up from the long shadow of the Great Depression. In that year, the United States Mint continued producing Lincoln pennies for everyday use, unaware that within months, the nation would be fully committed to war. The 1941 penny became one of the last Lincoln cents made before wartime changes reshaped American coinage forever. The Lincoln penny itself had already been around for over 3 decades by then. Introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th birthday of Abraham Lincoln, it was the first regular U.S. coin to feature a real person. By 1941, Americans were deeply familiar with Lincoln's profile, and the coin had become a symbol of stability, honesty, and national identity. The no-mint mark version of the 1941 penny was produced at the Philadelphia Mint, which traditionally did not use a mint mark at that time. This single detail is important. Coins from Denver carried a small d, and coins from San Francisco had an s. But if you look under the date on a 1941 penny and see nothing at all, you are holding a Philadelphia strike, the most common version, yet still highly meaningful to collectors. The year 1941 saw a large number of pennies produced. Over 887 million were struck in Philadelphia alone. That sounds enormous, and it is, But high mintage does not mean low interest. Many of these coins were heavily used, damaged, or melted over time. Finding one today in excellent condition is far more difficult than it sounds. The metal composition of the 1941 Lincoln penny is one of its most important features. It is made of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. This is often called the classic bronze composition. Just 1 year later, copper would become a critical war material, and the mint would experiment with steel pennies in 1943. Because of this, the 1941 penny represents the end of an era, the last full year of normal bronze cent production before America's coins reflected wartime sacrifice design-wise. The front of the coin shows Lincoln facing right, with the words "In God We Trust" above his head, "Liberty" to the left, and the date to the right. On the reverse, you see 2 wheat stalks framing the words 1 cent and United States of America. This is why collectors call it a wheat penny. That wheat design would remain until 1958, but the pre-war examples like 1941 hold a special place because of their historical context. Now let's talk about what makes certain 1941 no-mint mark pennies special. Most are worth only a small amount in worn condition, but some stand out due to errors or exceptional preservation. Errors are mistakes that happen during the minting process, and collectors love them because each one is unique. One known error is the off-center strike, where the design is not perfectly centered on the coin. Another is a double die error, where parts of the lettering or date appear doubled due to a misalignment during the die creation process. These errors are not common, and when confirmed by professionals, they can dramatically increase a coin's value. Condition is everything in coin collecting. A 1941 penny that has been circulating for decades might be dark, smooth, and missing fine details. That type is usually worth just a few cents. But a coin that looks almost new, with sharp lines and Lincoln's hair and clear wheat stalks on the back, can be worth much more. Coins graded in mint state condition, especially MS65 or higher, are highly desirable. There have been real auction results that prove this. Well-preserved 1941 no-mint mark Lincoln pennies graded by professional services have sold for anywhere from $20 to over $150, depending on the grade. Error coins can sell for even more. A strong double die or dramatic off-center strike can reach several $100s, sometimes more if collectors compete for it. These prices may not sound life-changing, but remember, this is for a penny that once bought almost nothing. The value comes from rarity in condition, historical importance, and collector demand. It is the story and survival of the coin that give it power. So how do you know if your 1941 penny is real and not altered or fake? First, check the weight. A genuine 1941 bronze penny should weigh about 3.11 grams. A strong magnet test can also help. Real copper pennies will not stick to a magnet. If it does, something is wrong. Next, look closely at the date and lettering. Altered coins often show uneven numbers or strange textures around the date. Finally, if you believe your coin is valuable, professional grading services are the safest way to confirm authenticity. One surprising fact about the 1941 penny is how many people unknowingly spent valuable examples. In the years after World War II, millions of wheat pennies were still in circulation. Children bought candy with them, adults tossed them into jars, and few people thought to save them. That everyday use is exactly why high-quality survivors are scarce today. Another fun detail is color. Collectors often describe copper pennies as red, red-brown, or brown. A 1941 penny that still has its original red copper color is extremely rare and highly prized. Most have naturally darkened over time. That bright red glow is like a time capsule, preserving the coin as it looked the day it left the presses at the United States Mint. Collectors love the 1941 no-mint mark penny because it connects so many themes. It represents the calm before America entered a global conflict. It carries the familiar image of Lincoln during a moment of national uncertainty. It is affordable enough for beginners, yet challenging enough for advanced collectors seeking top-grade examples or rare errors. For many people, this coin is also personal. It might be the year a parent was born, or the last peaceful year before family members went off to war. Coins like this are more than metal. They are memory holders. Today, interest in classic U.S. coins continues to grow. More people are searching through old collections, inherited jars, and forgotten drawers. The 1941 Lincoln penny often shows up in these searches, quietly waiting to be noticed. If you have one, take a moment to really look at it. Think about where it has been, whose hands it passed through, and what the world looked like when it was new. That sense of connection is why coin collecting never fades. And here's the curiosity that keeps collectors searching. Somewhere out there, a perfectly preserved 1941 no-mint mark Lincoln penny may still be hiding in plain sight, unnoticed, ungraded, and waiting to tell its story. The next time you hear the soft clink of coins, remember that even the smallest penny can carry a piece of American history, and sometimes the most ordinary-looking coin turns out to be anything but ordinary. Welcome back. Imagine holding a piece of history that was stamped during one of the most pivotal years of the 20th century. A tiny coin that not only circulated in the hands of everyday Americans, but also carries a story of war, innovation, and rarity that can make collectors' hearts race. Today, we're diving into one of the most fascinating and talked about coins in the world of numismatics, the 1944 Lincoln penny with no mint mark. At first glance, it may look like just another penny, but behind that copper-colored surface lies a tale that combines history, chemistry, and a little bit of mystery. The 1944 Lincoln penny is part of the long-running series of Lincoln cents, first introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. The obverse, or front side, features the familiar profile of Lincoln, facing right, designed by Victor David Brenner. His carefully sculpted image had become an iconic representation of the president on American coinage. The reverse side carries the classic wheat ears design, a motif that had been in use since the coin's inception. In 1944, these pennies were struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which produced coins without a mint mark. That means when you see a 1944 penny with no letter below the date, you are looking at a coin that came straight from Philadelphia, the birthplace of so much of America's early minting history. The year 1944 was extraordinary for a variety of reasons. The world was in the midst of World War II, and the United States was mobilizing every resource it could. Coinage was not immune to these changes. The traditional composition of pennies, which had been mostly copper, was altered during the war years. In 1943, due to a critical shortage of copper needed for ammunition and military equipment, the U.S. Mint experimented with zinc-coated steel pennies. These 1943 steel cents were produced in massive quantities but caused confusion and some controversy. By 1944, copper was once again available, largely sourced from recycled shell casings, and the mint returned to producing pennies that closely resembled the classic pre-war copper coins. These 1944 pennies are made of a unique composition of 95% copper and 5% zinc and tin. While this seems standard at first glance, the subtle differences in their chemical makeup make these coins historically significant and give them a distinctive patina over time. What makes the 1944 no-mint mark Lincoln penny stand out among other coins is a mix of history, scarcity, and the occasional error that can turn an ordinary cent into a treasure. Most 1944 pennies were produced in massive numbers, with over 1.5 billion coins struck at the Philadelphia Mint. Yet, despite this high mintage, there are a few examples that have become highly sought after due to unique characteristics. Errors like double dies, where the date or lettering appears to be stamped twice, or coins that were struck off-center, have elevated certain specimens to collector status. But even a standard, flawless 1944 no-mint mark penny can be appealing due to its wartime origins and the story it tells. It's a coin that physically connects you to the hands that used it during a time of global conflict and domestic sacrifice. Collectors often wonder why some coins, despite being seemingly common, carry significant value. The 1944 no-mint mark penny is a perfect example. While most circulated examples might sell for just a few cents above face value, higher-grade coins, especially those preserved in mint condition, can fetch hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Auction records tell compelling stories. For instance, a well-preserved, uncirculated 1944 Philadelphia penny can bring in anywhere from $100 to $500, depending on its condition and eye appeal. Coins that feature rare errors, like a misplaced die or unusual planchet flaw, have historically sold for thousands, with some exceptional examples breaking six-figure records. These numbers reflect not just rarity, but also the narrative value of owning a tangible piece of wartime history. One of the most important skills for a collector is being able to identify authentic coins and distinguish them from reproductions or counterfeits. The 1944 no-mint mark penny is no exception. Authentic coins should have the proper copper hue, a certain weight of 3.11 grams, and the raised details of Lincoln's profile and the wheat ears that correspond to mint specifications. Counterfeit coins may appear too shiny, too light, or have unusual coloring that suggests a different metal composition. Some fakes are made from zinc-coated steel or plated with copper to mimic the real thing, but careful observation under magnification can reveal inconsistencies in the lettering, date, or edge of the coin. For serious collectors, consulting grading guides or professional numismatists is always a prudent step to ensure a coin's authenticity and value. There are several fun and surprising details about the 1944 penny that make it more than just a piece of metal. For instance, many of the copper pennies produced in 1944 were actually made from recycled ammunition shell casings collected during the war effort. This means every penny carries with it a tiny echo of wartime production, linking the coin to soldiers and factories across the country. The wheat ears on the reverse, a design that would soon be retired in 1958, represent a simple, hopeful symbol of prosperity and growth during a tumultuous time. The obverse profile of Lincoln, carefully engraved by Brenner, remained largely unchanged from the original 1909 design, making these coins a bridge between generations of American currency. Collectors are drawn to the 1944 no-mint mark penny for more than just monetary value. These coins carry a sense of story and nostalgia. They are small, tangible reminders of a time when America was facing great challenges but also achieving remarkable feats. Collectors love to see the variations in toning, the subtle differences between coins struck early in the year versus those struck later, and even the tiny imperfections that make each coin unique. They are the kind of pieces that can sit in a collection for decades and still inspire curiosity, debate, and admiration. The appeal is both historical and aesthetic, and it extends beyond numismatics into the realm of cultural memory. Owning a 1944 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is like holding a conversation with the past. Each scratch, patina, and minting variation tells a story of the era it came from. For collectors today, it's a way to connect with American history, with Lincoln's enduring legacy, and with the remarkable circumstances under which these coins were produced. Some collectors focus on assembling complete sets of Lincoln cents, striving to include each year in pristine condition. Others seek out error coins, fascinated by the rarity and the twists of chance that turn a normal penny into a numismatic gem. Regardless of the approach, the 1944 penny remains a cornerstone of any serious collection, admired for its accessibility, historical significance, and the quiet drama hidden in its small, circular form. As we wrap up, consider this. A coin that fits comfortably in the palm of your hand can carry stories of war, industry, and the lives of ordinary Americans. It can surprise you with hidden errors, connect you to history, and even represent significant financial value if preserved carefully. The 1944 no-mint mark Lincoln penny may look ordinary at first glance, but for those who know its history, it is anything but. Every time you see that familiar profile of Lincoln and the wheat ears on the back, remember that you are looking at a survivor of a momentous year, a coin that has passed through countless hands and now offers its story to you. Keep your eyes open, because the next 1944 penny you encounter could hold secrets that make it more than just a simple coin. Could be the key to owning a small piece of history, a tangible connection to a time that shaped the world we live in today. Welcome back. Imagine holding a tiny piece of history in your hand, a coin that's been passed from person to person, surviving decades of change, yet still shining with stories of its own. Today, we're diving into one of the most fascinating coins in American history, a coin that might be sitting in a drawer or a jar at your home without you even realizing its potential. This is the 1946 Lincoln penny with no mint mark, a coin that carries more than just copper. It carries a legacy. The 1946 Lincoln penny is part of the beloved Lincoln cent series, first introduced in 1909 to honor Abraham Lincoln's 100th birthday. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the coin features a profile of Lincoln on the obverse, or front side, with the familiar words, "In God We Trust, Liberty," and the date. On the reverse, It shows the wheat ears design, a hallmark of early Lincoln cents, representing prosperity and the agrarian roots of the nation. But while most Lincoln pennies are common, the 1946 no-mint mark coin has a special place in the world of collectors, and that's what makes it worth exploring today. The year 1946 was a pivotal moment in American history. The Second World War had just ended, and the country was entering a period of post-war recovery and growth. The United States Mint resumed full production of coins for circulation after wartime shortages, and Lincoln pennies were among the coins produced in massive numbers. Most of these coins were struck at the Philadelphia Mint, and that's why the 1946 penny you're learning about carries no mint mark. Coins from Denver carry a D, and coins from San Francisco carry an S, but Philadelphia pennies of this year were left unmarked. While it may seem like an ordinary penny at first glance, the 1946 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is interesting for several reasons. First, the composition. This penny was made primarily from copper, about 95%, with the remaining 5% made up of tin and zinc. This composition was restored after the wartime steel pennies of 1943, which had been produced to conserve copper for the war effort. So, in a sense, the 1946 penny represents a return to normalcy, a restoration of traditional materials, and a subtle reminder of a nation transitioning from conflict to peace. In terms of design, the coin carries the familiar wheat cent reverse, which had been in use since 1909. These wheat ears are simple yet elegant, framing the words 1 cent and United States of America. The obverse, as mentioned, features Lincoln, capturing his profile with remarkable detail, even in a small 1-cent coin. Collectors often look for sharpness in Lincoln's beard, the lines of his coat, and the details in the wheat stalks as indicators of the coin's quality and potential value. The 1946 no-mint mark penny is considered moderately rare among Lincoln cents, not because it had an exceptionally low mintage, but because surviving coins in high condition are scarce. Millions of these pennies were made, but most were circulated, handled, and worn over decades. Coins that have retained their original luster, sharp details, and full copper tone are prized by collectors. Uncirculated examples are especially sought after, as they provide a glimpse into the original craftsmanship and design of the mint point. One of the reasons collectors pay attention to this coin is because of subtle variations and errors that occasionally appear. Some coins exhibit doubling on the date or the letters, a phenomenon known as a double die. Others might show minor off-center strikes or weakly impressed details, which are considered errors in numismatics and can significantly increase a coin's value. Identifying these features requires careful observation, often with a magnifying glass or loupe, and familiarity with the standard design. Real-world examples of the 1946 no-mint mark penny fetching attention in auctions show just how much condition and rarity influence value. A typical circulated coin might be worth just a few cents, but high-grade examples can reach several $100s. For instance, an uncirculated 1946 penny graded MS-65 or higher by a professional grading service has sold for over $200 in recent auctions. Coins with notable errors, like double dies or unusual planchet flaws, can sell for even more, sometimes exceeding $1,000 depending on the market and collector demand. For someone interested in verifying a real 1946 no-mint mark penny, there are key tips to keep in mind. First, examine the date and lettering carefully. Genuine coins will have a consistent font and spacing, with sharp lines on Lincoln's profile and the wheat ears. The weight should be just over 3 grams, and the diameter about 19 millimeters. Many reproductions or fakes exist, often made from zinc or plated metals, so using a scale, measuring tools, and even a magnet can help detect anomalies. Professional grading and authentication are recommended if you suspect a coin might be valuable or if you plan to sell it. There are some fun and surprising facts about the 1946 Lincoln penny that collectors love to share. Despite being made in massive numbers, it captures a unique moment in history. Each coin in your pocket at that time could have traveled to a neighborhood grocery, a school, or even a USO event for returning soldiers. The copper composition means the coin has a distinct reddish-brown color that can deepen over time, giving it character and patina. Collectors sometimes say that finding one in excellent condition feels like uncovering a small time capsule from the mid-20th century. Collectors are drawn to this coin today not just for its historical significance, but also for its accessibility and the stories it tells. Unlike some ultra-rare coins that only exist in the tens or hundreds, the 1946 no-mint mark penny is still attainable, yet still offers room for discovery. Those who collect Lincoln cents often view it as a milestone coin, a link between the wartime era and the prosperity of post-war America. It embodies both familiarity and uniqueness, allowing collectors of all levels to appreciate its charm. And there's a subtle thrill in holding a coin that millions of others touched decades ago. The feel of the copper, the details in Lincoln's profile, the wheat ears on the reverse, they all connect the present to the past. Whether you're a casual collector, a historian at heart, or someone who just enjoys the stories behind objects, the 1946 no-mint mark penny offers that connection. It's a reminder that even something as small as a 1-cent coin can carry immense historical weight. So, next time you sort through your change or a jar of old pennies, take a moment to look for a 1946 no-mint mark Lincoln penny. Check the details, feel the metal, and imagine where it's been. You might just hold a piece of history worth far more than its face value. The stories it carries, the craftsmanship it represents, and the potential hidden value make it a coin that continues to capture imaginations nearly 8 decades after it was minted. In the end, the 1946 Lincoln penny with no mint mark is more than a piece of copper. It's a symbol of a nation recovering from war, a token of everyday life in the mid-20th century, and a treasure for those who seek to connect with history through coins. Every scratch, every sheen, every detail tells a story, and for collectors, that story is priceless. So, keep an eye on those pennies, because the next time you pick up a seemingly ordinary coin, it might just be a 1946 Lincoln penny carrying decades of history in your hand, waiting for you to discover its secrets. Welcome back. Imagine holding a tiny piece of history in the palm of your hand, a coin so common once it jingled in every pocket. Yet today it can make collectors stop in their tracks. One coin from 1951, a simple Lincoln penny with no mint mark, hides a story few people know. It's a small, copper disc, but it carries decades of American history, from the post-war era to the present. What makes this penny more than just a piece of change? Let's explore the fascinating world of the 1951 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, a coin that has quietly captured the attention of collectors and historians alike. The 1951 Lincoln penny is part of the long-running Lincoln cent series, which first appeared in 1909 to honor Abraham Lincoln's centennial birthday. Unlike the silver coins or larger denominations, the penny was made for everyday use, but it also served as a canvas for history. The no-mint mark designation means it was produced at the Philadelphia Mint, the oldest United States mint facility. During this period, coins from Philadelphia often lacked a mint mark, a small detail that would later become a key factor in determining rarity and value. In 1951, America was emerging from the shadows of World War II and settling into a period of rapid growth and prosperity. The penny itself was part of that story. Struck in 95% copper with a 5% tin and zinc composition, the coin has a rich, reddish-brown appearance that develops a unique patina over time. The obverse, or front, bears the familiar profile of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner, showing the president in a dignified pose that Americans have recognized for over a century. The reverse features the wheat ears design, a symbol of prosperity and growth, which remained on the penny until 1958. What makes the 1951 no-mint mark penny stand out is not just its date or composition, but the subtle variations that can occur in coins of this era. Some coins show doubling in the date or the word liberty, while others have slight die cracks or scratches, which can significantly increase collector interest. Although it was minted in large numbers, certain high-grade specimens are scarce because pennies of this age were circulated heavily. Many were lost, damaged, or melted down over the years, leaving a smaller number of well-preserved coins for collectors today. The rarity of this penny isn't dramatic, like the famous 1943 bronze cent or the 1955 double die. Instead, its appeal lies in its condition and its subtle features. A sharp, uncirculated 1951 penny without a mint mark can fetch hundreds of dollars at auction, especially if it shows vibrant color and strong details. For instance, a 1951 Philadelphia penny graded MS65, which means mint state with nearly perfect detail, has sold at auction for several $100s. Collectors often seek these coins not only for their potential investment value but for the satisfaction of owning a well-preserved piece of history that millions of people once carried in their pockets. Identifying a genuine 1951 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny is usually straightforward, but there are a few key points to check. The copper composition gives the coin a distinct weight and color. The date should be crisp and evenly spaced, with the lettering showing the same depth and alignment as authentic coins from Philadelphia in 1951. Look closely at the wheat ears on the reverse. Fakes or replicas sometimes have softer, less detailed designs. Subtle signs of wear or corrosion can also be indicators. Genuine coins will often have natural toning that cannot be easily replicated. It's always wise to consult a reputable coin dealer or grading service if you are unsure. Beyond rarity and value, there are fascinating details that make this coin a joy for collectors. For example, many 1951 pennies show a warm, reddish patina that develops uniquely depending on where the coin circulated. Some have faint bag marks from being transported in large rolls, while others show microscopic die marks, tiny imperfections created when the coin was struck. These details tell a story of where the coin traveled and how it survived decades of use. For those who love history, each scratch, mark, or shine is a direct connection to the lives of Americans in the early 1950s. Collectors are drawn to the 1951 no-mint Mark penny for both aesthetic and historical reasons. It's a piece of everyday Americana that has endured over 70 years. It represents an era when coins were a daily touchpoint between citizens and their country, when pennies had tangible value beyond mere cents. For numismatists or coin collectors, the 1951 penny is a gateway into a deeper appreciation of coin design, minting history, and the subtle differences that make one coin more prized than another. It also serves as a reminder that even small objects, often overlooked, can hold remarkable stories and surprising value. The charm of this penny is amplified by the human connection to it. Imagine your grandparents or parents using these coins to buy groceries, save in jars, or give as allowances. Owning a 1951 Lincoln penny is like holding a piece of that lived experience. Every scratch or patina tells a story not just of minting and circulation, but of the everyday lives it touched. And while it may not be the rarest coin in the world, it carries a weight that goes far beyond its physical size, bridging history, art, and personal memory. Even today, the 1951 no-mint Mark penny sparks curiosity. It reminds collectors and casual observers alike to look closer at what might seem ordinary. When you find a penny in your change, you might wonder if it has a secret story or hidden value. This coin encourages us to see the extraordinary in the everyday, to notice the details, and to treasure the small artifacts that quietly carry history forward. For collectors, that curiosity is what makes every coin hunt exciting, every discovery rewarding, and every collection meaningful. So the next time you come across a seemingly simple penny, take a moment to consider its journey. The 1951 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny may look modest, but it is a survivor of history, a witness to decades of American life, and a reminder that even the smallest objects can hold great significance. Its story is ongoing, and every coin in existence is a unique link to a time long past but still present in the hands of collectors today. Could your pocket change be hiding a piece of history waiting to be discovered? The answer might just be closer than you think. This humble coin from 1951 may not make headlines like a gold coin or rare dime, but it captures the imagination of anyone who appreciates history, craftsmanship, and the thrill of discovery. Whether you are a seasoned collector, a history enthusiast, or simply someone curious about the past, the Lincoln penny reminds us that value is not just about money, but about the stories we carry and the connections we make across generations. The 1951 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny is proof that even a small copper disc can hold a world of fascination. Its journey continues with every collector who cherishes it, every historian who studies it, and every curious eye that stops to wonder. What stories does this little coin have to tell next? Welcome back. Imagine holding a tiny piece of history in the palm of your hand, a coin that has quietly survived decades, yet could be worth far more than its face value. Today, we are diving into one of the most intriguing pieces of American numismatic history, the 1952 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny. This seemingly ordinary penny has captivated collectors for generations, and once you hear its story, you might never look at your loose change the same way again. The 1952 Lincoln penny, part of the beloved Lincoln cent series, was minted during a post-war America where coins were more than currency. They were symbols of stability and continuity. The coin features the familiar profile of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, a design introduced back in 1909 to commemorate Lincoln's centennial birth anniversary. Its simple elegance and historical significance make it instantly recognizable. Yet within the details of this 1952 issue lies a world of fascinating history and potential value. In 1952, the United States was transitioning from the wartime economy of the 1940s into a period of growth and optimism. Coins produced during this era were primarily composed of a copper alloy, roughly 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. This composition gave the pennies a warm reddish-brown hue, though over the decades, many have developed the darker patina we often associate with vintage coins. The absence of a mint mark on the 1952 penny indicates it was produced at the Philadelphia Mint, the nation's first and historically most prominent minting facility. Philadelphia pennies are distinguished by their lack of a letter beneath the date, unlike coins from Denver or San Francisco, which bear a D or an S respectively. What makes the 1952 no-mint mark Lincoln penny particularly interesting is that while it was a common issue in circulation at the time, finding one in pristine condition today can be surprisingly rare. Most pennies from that era were heavily used, often scratched, worn, or bent from decades of handling. A coin in uncirculated condition, with sharp detail and minimal discoloration, stands out immediately to collectors. The sharpness of Lincoln's portrait, the clarity of the date, and the definition in the wheat ears on the reverse side can dramatically influence its value. Some coins even display subtle die variations or errors, which can significantly increase their appeal to numismatists. Collectors often look for specific characteristics that set one 1952 penny apart from another. A true 1952 no-mint mark penny should have Lincoln facing right, with clear lettering spelling Liberty, to the left of the portrait and the motto "In God We Trust" above. On the reverse, the wheat ears stretch along the edges, framing the words 1 cent and United States of America. Any doubling of letters, slight misalignments, or unusual striking marks can indicate a rare error. While major errors are less common in this series, minor variations exist and are highly sought after. Even subtle differences, like a faint die crack or a slight off-center strike, can attract serious collector attention. Why is this penny considered valuable? The answer lies not only in rarity but also in condition and historical context. Coins minted in the early 1950s are no longer in mass circulation, and over 70 years later, only a fraction remain in collectible condition. Unlike modern pennies, which are made with less durable metals and often see immediate wear, the 1952 pennies that survive today tell a story. Some have spent decades tucked away in coin rolls, others in family collections, and a few may have even traveled abroad or been stored in safes. This combination of age, condition, and historical resonance creates a tangible allure for collectors. Auction records reveal just how sought after these pennies can be. While a circulated 1952 penny might sell for a few dollars, examples in exceptional condition, graded by professional services as MS-65 or higher, can command hundreds of dollars. One remarkable auction even saw a high-grade specimen surpass $500, demonstrating that coins from this era, when preserved well, can achieve significant premiums. For comparison, most casual coin collectors might expect a handful of these pennies to be worth face value, yet the right coin in near-perfect condition can be a small fortune in the right hands. Identifying a real 1952 no-mint mark penny is surprisingly straightforward once you know what to look for. Start with the date. Examine the 1 and 9 closely. Genuine coins from Philadelphia have specific characteristics in their font and spacing. The copper color and weight are also telling. A standard Lincoln penny from 1952 weighs just over 3 grams and has a distinct reddish-brown sheen. Counterfeit or altered coins might appear slightly off in weight or color, and many reproductions fail to capture the fine details of the wheat ears or Lincoln's facial features. For serious collectors, using a magnifying glass or even a loupe is essential to inspect the coin's condition, looking for scratches, dents, or signs of cleaning, which can dramatically affect value. Professional grading is often recommended for coins that appear to be in exceptional condition, as it ensures authenticity and provides a market-recognized standard for quality. Beyond value, there are a few fun facts that make the 1952 Lincoln penny even more fascinating. Did you know that in the early 1950s, pennies were still commonly used in everyday transactions, from paying for a loaf of bread to tipping a service worker? For many families, pennies like these were the first coins a child would ever save in a piggy bank. Another surprising detail is that the Lincoln wheat design, which appears on the reverse of this coin, was in use from 1909 to 1958, making it one of the longest-running coin designs in U.S. history. This design was originally created by Victor David Brenner, a sculptor whose initials can be subtly found on the obverse, near Lincoln's shoulder, a hidden signature that collectors delight in spotting. Collectors love the 1952 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny not just for its monetary potential, but for the story it carries. Holding one is like holding a snapshot of mid-century America, a connection to a time when coins were both currency and keepsakes. Some collectors enjoy hunting for these pennies in old rolls of change, while others treasure them as part of a comprehensive Lincoln cent collection. Each coin tells a unique story based on how it was handled, where it circulated, and how well it survived the decades. It's a bridge to the past, a tangible reminder of history that fits neatly in your hand. Even today, the excitement around this penny continues. Coin shows, online auctions, and private collections keep interest high. Novice collectors are often drawn in by the beauty and simplicity of the design, while seasoned numismatists appreciate the subtle variations that distinguish one coin from another. And while new coins enter circulation every day, nothing can replace the charm and historical weight of a 1952 no-mint Mark penny that has survived with its details intact. It's a coin that quietly demands attention, rewarding those who take the time to look closely. So the next time you reach into your pocket or a jar of loose change, consider this. Among those ordinary pennies, there could be a piece of history, a small coin from 1952 that has endured more than 70 years, carrying the face of one of America's most iconic presidents. And if you find one in excellent condition, it may be more than just a keepsake. It could be a rare treasure with real value in the eyes of collectors. The 1952 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny reminds us that even the smallest objects can have remarkable stories, waiting quietly to be discovered. Whether you're a seasoned collector or just someone who loves history, the 1952 Lincoln penny invites curiosity. What other hidden gems might be hiding in plain sight, tucked into coin jars or forgotten drawers? Each coin is a doorway to the past, a whisper of the era it was made in, and an invitation to explore the rich world of numismatics. For anyone willing to look closely, the 1952 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny is more than a piece of copper. It's a tangible connection to American history, a tiny artifact that continues to inspire fascination today. Welcome back. Imagine holding a tiny piece of American history in the palm of your hand, a coin so common yet so special that collectors all over the country seek it out. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most intriguing coins from the mid-20th century, the 1953 mint Mark Lincoln penny. You may think it's just another penny, but there's a story behind this small copper disc that makes it far more fascinating than its face value suggests. By the end of this video, you'll understand why some pennies, nearly 70 years old, still capture the attention of collectors and investors alike. The 1953 Lincoln penny is part of the long-running Lincoln cent series, first introduced in 1909 to commemorate Abraham Lincoln's 100th birthday. Unlike quarters, dimes, and half dollars, pennies were produced in massive quantities for everyday use, but that does not mean they were all the same. The D mint mark tells us that this particular penny was struck at the Denver Mint, one of the key mints in the United States at the time. While most coins in circulation today are forgettable, this 1953 penny has quietly developed a following among numismatists and casual collectors because of its history, design, and potential for high-grade rarity. To understand this coin, we first need to look back at the year it was minted. 1953 was an era of post-war prosperity in America. The Korean War had ended, and the country was embracing a booming economy and suburban expansion. Coins like the Lincoln penny were part of everyday life. You would find them in cash registers, piggy banks, and under couch cushions. The U.S. Mint was producing millions of pennies each year to meet demand, but even in such large numbers, certain mint years and marks developed collectible appeal over time. The 1953 penny represents not just currency, but a snapshot of American life in the early 1950s, the design of the 1953 D Lincoln penny is instantly recognizable. On the obverse or front side, we see the familiar profile of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner in 1909. Lincoln's solemn yet dignified profile was revolutionary at the time because he was the first real person to appear on a regular circulating U.S. coin. On the reverse, we have the wheat ears that frame the words 1 cent and United States of America, a design that remained in use until 1958. These details are crisp and simple, yet they carry historical weight. The metal composition of the coin in 1953 was primarily copper, about 95%, with a small amount of tin and zinc. This gives the coin its characteristic reddish-brown hue, although circulation often causes it to darken over time. One of the most interesting aspects of the 1953 D Lincoln penny is that, while it was minted in large numbers, collectors have noted certain varieties and anomalies that make individual coins stand out. Some coins from this year display slight doubling on the date or mint mark, which numismatists refer to as a double die. Others may have minor striking errors or planchet flaws that occurred during production. These subtle differences can dramatically affect the coin's value. Even though a typical 1953 D penny might be worth only a few cents to a casual observer, a coin in exceptional condition or with a rare error can fetch hundreds, or even thousands of dollars at auction. So why is this penny considered rare or valuable? The truth is, rarity is not just about the number of coins produced, but also about survival and condition. While millions of 1953 D pennies were minted, relatively few have survived in pristine, uncirculated condition. Many were lost, damaged, or worn down over decades of everyday use. This makes high-grade specimens highly sought after by collectors. Coins graded MS-65 or higher, for example, are exceptionally rare. Mint-condition coins are treasured not only for their aesthetic appeal but also for the historical story they tell to give you a sense of its value in the real world. Let's look at some auction examples. A standard circulated 1953 D penny might sell for just a few dollars, but an uncirculated example with a deep red color and nowhere can sell for $50 to $100 or more. Coins with rare errors or exceptional luster have fetched prices over $500 at specialized auctions. The exact value depends on factors such as eye appeal, toning, and whether the coin has been professionally graded by organizations like the Professional Coin Grading Service or Numismatic Guarantee Corporation. These grading services provide authentication and a numeric grade that makes buying and selling more reliable. Of course, with value comes the risk of fakes or counterfeits. Collectors need to be careful, especially when dealing with high-grade or error coins. A genuine 1953 D penny has distinct features that are difficult to replicate perfectly. First, the mint mark D on the reverse side is small but sharply defined, sitting just below the date. The color, weight, and diameter of the coin are also specific, 3.11 grams in weight and 19.05 millimeters across. Collectors often examine the coin under magnification to check for inconsistencies in lettering, doubling, or surface texture. Any coin that looks suspiciously bright, overly smooth, or inconsistent with typical 1953 D characteristics should be examined by a professional before purchase. Authentication protects both collectors and the integrity of the hobby. Here are some fun and surprising details about the 1953 D Lincoln penny. The wheat reverse design, with its two stalks framing the inscriptions, was only in use from 1909 to 1958. This means the coin carries a design element that no longer exists on modern pennies. The small D mint mark is a subtle but important indicator of origin, and for collectors, it tells a story about the Denver Mint and its production during the early 1950s. In some cases, coins show slight differences in strike depth, font style, or even alignment that make each one slightly unique. Another fascinating fact is that pennies like this one were used alongside silver coins in everyday transactions, meaning that in 1953, a cent could buy you a newspaper, a piece of candy, or part of a bus fare. Holding one today is a direct connection to that everyday experience. Collectors love the 1953 D Lincoln penny for more than just its monetary value. It represents a tangible piece of American history, an object that bridges generations. Numismatists appreciate the artistry of Brenner's design and the subtle variations that can exist from coin to coin. Hobbyists enjoy the thrill of searching through rolls of pennies, hoping to discover one with a rare error or exceptional color. Even casual collectors find satisfaction in owning a coin that has survived for decades and still looks remarkably fresh. It's not just a coin. It's a story, a puzzle, and a collectible all in one. As we wrap up, consider this. The 1953 Lincoln penny may sit quietly in your change jar or in a dusty collection, but its potential is far greater than meets the eye. From its historical significance to its design, from rare varieties to high-grade examples, this small coin carries a legacy that continues to intrigue collectors. If you ever find one in excellent condition, you're not just holding a penny, you're holding a piece of American history, a snapshot of the 1950s, and a reminder that even the smallest things can hold great value. The next time you glance at a copper coin, ask yourself, could this ordinary-looking penny be hiding an extraordinary story waiting to be discovered? Whether you're a seasoned collector or someone just beginning to explore the fascinating world of coins, the 1953 Lincoln penny offers a perfect example of how history, design, and rarity come together in a single, tiny artifact. Its story reminds us that every coin has a past, and sometimes that past is worth holding on to, studying, and cherishing. Keep your eyes open, examine every detail, and who knows, the next 1953 penny you find might just be more special than you ever imagined. Welcome back. Imagine holding a tiny piece of history in your hand, a coin that has quietly traveled through decades, witnessed the rise and fall of presidents, the turn of decades, and yet carries a story that makes collectors across the country sit up and take notice. Today, we are diving into one of the most fascinating coins in American history, a coin that seems ordinary at first glance, yet holds a mystery and value that can surprise even seasoned collectors. This is the 1955 Lincoln penny, a coin that might already be sitting somewhere in your change jar without you even realizing its significance. The 1955 Lincoln penny is a 1-cent coin minted in Denver, hence the D mint mark that appears just below the date on the obverse side. It is part of the Lincoln cent series, which first appeared in 1909 to commemorate Abraham Lincoln's 100th birthday. The Lincoln penny is historically significant, not only for its depiction of the 16th president, but also for being the first regular U.S. coin to feature a president's portrait. By 1955, the penny had undergone minor changes in design and metal composition, yet it remained one of the most widely circulated coins in American life. The year 1955 was a time of transition in the United States. Post-war prosperity was in full swing, the baby boom was shaping communities, and small everyday objects like coins were part of a daily rhythm. Pennies from this year were struck as part of the regular Lincoln cent series, which had maintained the same general design for decades. The obverse featured Abraham Lincoln facing right, while the reverse displayed the Lincoln Memorial, a design introduced in 1959. For the 1955 penny, the reverse still bore the wheat ears design, since the Lincoln Memorial reverse had not yet been introduced. This gives the 1955 a distinct historical identity, bridging earlier designs with the modern look that would follow just a few years later. This coin is made primarily of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, a composition typical of Lincoln cents during this period. Measuring 19 millimeters in diameter and weighing approximately 3.11 grams, it is deceptively simple in appearance, but it is precisely the subtlety of its details that can make it remarkable. The obverse shows a detailed portrait of Lincoln, with the date 1955 stamped clearly above the D mint mark. The reverse features 2 wheat stalks framing the words 1 cent and United States of America. These design elements, while familiar, are executed with a level of craftsmanship that makes each coin a miniature work of art. What makes the 1955 penny particularly intriguing is the story of rarity and error coins associated with 1955 pennies. The year 1955 is most famous for the 1955 double-die penny, a coin error in which the date and the lettering on the obverse appear doubled. While that particular error is almost always associated with the Philadelphia Mint, the 1955 still draws attention from collectors for its age, condition, and the possibility of slight minting variations that can affect value. Coins from this year, especially those in uncirculated or mint condition, are rare because so many were spent and worn over the decades. The Denver Mint produced millions of pennies, but surviving specimens with full detail, strong luster, and no post-mint damage are increasingly uncommon. Collectors prize the 1955 penny for several reasons. Firstly, it represents a piece of mid-century America, a tangible artifact from the post-war period. Secondly, the Denver Mint mark sets it apart from coins struck in Philadelphia or San Francisco, offering a distinct point of identification. Thirdly, older copper coins are more valuable than modern zinc-plated pennies due to their metal content and collector appeal. In today's market, the value of a 1955 Lincoln penny can vary widely depending on condition. A well-circulated coin might fetch just a few dollars, but a coin in near-mint condition can bring in upwards of several $100s. Exceptional specimens, especially those with strong strike details and full luster, have been known to sell for even more in auctions, demonstrating the persistent demand among numismatists. For example, recent auction records show that a high-grade 1955 penny, certified by a leading grading service, sold for over $1,500. Even coins in lower uncirculated grades have fetched several $100s. These sales are not just about monetary value. They reflect the historical and emotional appeal of holding a coin that has survived for more than 6 decades. Collectors are not merely buying metal. They are investing in a story, a piece of Americana that connects them to a bygone era. Identifying a genuine 1955 penny is surprisingly straightforward if you know what to look for. Start with the mint mark, a small D located below the date on the obverse side. The mint mark should be well-formed, not blurry or distorted. Check the date carefully. In circulated coins, where can make the date hard to read, so sometimes magnification is necessary. The edges of the coin should be smooth with subtle rim details, and the lettering on both sides should be crisp, not worn away or uneven. If the coin has unusual doubling on the date or letters, especially in the case of the Philadelphia double die, it could be an error coin and worth additional investigation. Weight and size can also help. A 1955 penny should weigh approximately 3.11 grams and measure 19 millimeters across. Any significant deviation could indicate a counterfeit. Always consider consulting a professional grader or numismatic expert for verification if the coin appears unusually valuable. There are also some surprising and fun facts about this penny. For one, the 1955 penny is part of the final years of the wheat cent design, which had been in use since 1909. This means it represents one of the last links to a classic and historically significant design era. Another interesting detail is that despite being over 65 years old, many 1955 pennies can still be found in pocket change or coin collections, often overlooked because they appear ordinary at first glance. Collectors often enjoy the thrill of discovering one tucked away in a jar or drawer, suddenly realizing they have a piece of history in their hand. The love for the 1955 penny among collectors comes from a combination of history, rarity, and nostalgia. Coins like this are tangible reminders of the 1950s, a decade defined by optimism and growth in the United States. Holding a 1955 penny allows collectors to imagine the world at that time: children saving pennies, families using coins for everyday purchases, and the subtle ways currency connects people across generations. Numismatists value the coin not only for its material worth, but for its ability to evoke a sense of continuity and connection to the past. Every scratch, toning, and gleam tells a story, making each coin unique. Even today, the 1955 Lincoln penny continues to captivate collectors, inspiring searches in old coin rolls, dusty drawers, and even pocket change. Its combination of history, potential rarity, and aesthetic appeal ensures it remains a sought-after piece in private collections and auctions. For those who hold one, it is more than just a penny. It is a bridge to the past, a small but significant artifact that has survived decades of circulation and change. Whether you are a seasoned collector or a casual enthusiast, discovering a 1955 penny can be a thrilling experience, a reminder that even the smallest objects can carry remarkable stories. So, next time you handle a penny, take a closer look. That ordinary coin might just be hiding an extraordinary history. The 1955 Lincoln penny invites us to slow down and appreciate the details, the craftsmanship, and the decades it has quietly witnessed. Could the coin in your hand be one of these rare treasures? It might be worth checking. There is a world of history waiting to be discovered, hidden in the coins we see every day. The 1955 D penny is proof that even the smallest objects can hold the largest stories, and the thrill of uncovering one is a joy that collectors have cherished for generations. Welcome back. Imagine holding a small piece of history in the palm of your hand, a coin that traveled through decades, witnessing the quiet moments of American life. Now, imagine that same coin could be worth hundreds, even thousands of dollars to the right collector. Today, we're diving into one of the most fascinating coins in American numismatics, the 1956 D Lincoln penny. Whether you're a casual coin enthusiast, a history lover, or just someone curious about rare finds, this story is full of intrigue, surprises, and a chance to connect with history through a simple copper penny. The 1956 D Lincoln penny is part of a long line of Lincoln cents, first introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. The D Mint mark indicates that this particular penny was struck at the Denver Mint, one of the United States mint facilities responsible for producing coins for circulation. On the front of the coin, you'll find the familiar profile of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner, a design that has remained remarkably consistent for over a century. The reverse features the wheat ears, a design that would stay in place until 1958. But what makes the 1956 D penny stand out is not just its appearance, but its story, its composition, and the subtle details that make collectors' eyes light up. To understand this coin, we need to go back to the mid-1950s. Post-World War II America was in a period of growth and optimism. The economy was booming, families were moving into suburbs, and everyday objects like coins were not just currency, but part of daily life and identity. In 1956, the United States Mint produced hundreds of millions of pennies, and Denver was responsible for a significant portion of that production. Despite the large mintage, certain variations and conditions make some of these pennies more desirable today than others. The penny was made primarily of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, a composition standard that had been in place for decades. Its small size and copper content mean it has aged gracefully, often developing a warm, rich patina that many collectors prize. Looking closely at the 1956 D penny, you'll notice the details that distinguish it from other years. The obverse, or front, shows Lincoln's profile with the words, "In God we trust" above, "Liberty" to the left, and the date 1956 to the right, with the tiny D mint mark just below the date. The reverse, often called the wheat penny side, features two stylized ears of wheat, flanking the words 1 cent and United States of America. The simplicity of the design belies the skill required to strike coins with clarity and precision. Occasionally, collectors find 1956 D pennies with minor minting errors, double dies, off-center strikes, or weakly impressed letters. These errors are rare, but when they appear, they significantly increase the coin's value. So why is the 1956 D penny considered valuable? The answer lies in a combination of factors. First, condition matters immensely. A coin that has been well preserved, showing minimal wear and retaining its original luster, is far more valuable than one that has circulated heavily. Second, rarity plays a role. While millions were minted, certain coins with exceptional features or errors are scarce. Finally, the coin carries a historical resonance. Lincoln pennies connect us to a time before digital currency, before credit cards dominated, and when pennies were part of everyday commerce. Collectors often describe the thrill of finding a high-grade 1956 D as discovering a hidden treasure in plain sight, something tangible from a simpler era. Real-world examples show just how much interest these coins can generate. At auctions, a 1956 D penny in average circulated condition might sell for a few dollars, but uncirculated coins or those with rare errors can fetch several $100s or more. One notable sale featured a 1956 D penny with a particularly sharp strike and exceptional luster, bringing in over $500. Coins with unusual die variations, such as a double die on the date or lettering, have occasionally surpassed $1,000 in collector sales. These figures remind us that even the smallest pieces of history can hold significant financial and cultural value, depending on their uniqueness and condition. For anyone curious about identifying an authentic 1956 D penny, there are a few key points to check. The mint mark should be a clear, small d, located just below the date. Examine the coin under magnification to look for uniformity in the lettering and date. Authentic pennies from this era have a consistent weight of 3.11 grams and a diameter of 19 millimeters. The color and patina are also important. Natural aging creates a warm, even tone, whereas artificial toning can appear uneven or overly bright. When purchasing or selling, always rely on reputable sources or certified grading services, as counterfeit coins exist, though they are less common in mid-20th century pennies than in older or more valuable coins. Beyond the technical details, the 1956 D Lincoln penny has surprising facts that enrich its story. For instance, this coin was struck just a few years before the United States switched from the wheat ear reverse design to the Lincoln Memorial reverse in 1959. That means it represents one of the last years of a design that had been in continuous use for 50 years. Many collectors find the wheat penny design charming, not just for its visual appeal, but because it evokes a bygone era of American optimism and growth. Another intriguing detail is that, despite its copper composition, these pennies were often used as makeshift tools. People would balance them in cash registers, use them as washers, or even as temporary fasteners in household projects. It's a humble coin, but one that quietly touched many lives. Collectors today are drawn to the 1956 D penny for multiple reasons. The coin is small enough to fit in a pocket but carries a sense of weight and history that larger objects cannot match. Its design is familiar yet elegant, instantly recognizable as a symbol of American currency. The possibility of finding a rare error or an exceptionally well-preserved specimen adds a layer of excitement, transforming a simple penny into a treasure hunt. For many, it's not just about the financial value. It's about connecting with the past, appreciating craftsmanship, and holding a piece of history that has endured through generations. Even casual collectors often feel a thrill when they discover a 1956 D penny in surprising condition, perhaps tucked away in a jar of loose change or inherited from a relative. The coin offers a tactile connection to the mid-20th century, a time of post-war hope and everyday innovation. It also serves as a reminder that ordinary objects, when examined closely, often reveal extraordinary stories. A penny that once bought a piece of candy or paid for a newspaper now carries the weight of decades, history, and sometimes considerable value. As we reflect on the 1956 D Lincoln penny, it becomes clear why it has captivated generations of collectors. Its modest size belies its historical significance. Its copper composition and classic design evoke a sense of timelessness. The subtle minting variations and occasional errors make each coin a unique item worth examining carefully. It's a small object, but one that can inspire curiosity, joy, and even a sense of discovery. For those who take the time to learn about it, the 1956 D penny is more than currency. It is a bridge to the past, a piece of history that continues to capture imaginations today. So next time you find a coin on the sidewalk, in a jar, or passed down from a family member, take a closer look. You might be holding something far more fascinating than its face value suggests. The 1956 D Lincoln penny reminds us that even the smallest objects can have remarkable stories, waiting patiently for someone to notice. Could the next hidden treasure in your pocket be a 1956 D penny? The answer might just surprise you, and that is exactly why collectors continue to seek, cherish, and study these little copper witnesses of history.